Business Brain, episode 649 for Casual Friday, May 16th, National Pizza Party Day 2025. Greetings, folks, and welcome to Business Brain, the show where we take some ideas, we crunch them, we dissect them, we use them to tune our business brains individually and collectively so we can each keep on living those charmed lives. Speaking of charmed lives, our sponsors this week are NordLayer.com/brain. That gets you 22% off this network security for modern businesses, and then code BRAIN saves you another 10%. And Shopify.com/businessbrain, where you can sign up for your $1 per month trial period. We'll talk more about both of those because they're both going to help you lead those charmed lives. We'll talk about them in a little bit. For now, as usual, in Durham, New Hampshire, I'm Dave Hamilton.
And in Northern California, I'm Shannon Jean. Happy Friday,
Happy Friday, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, we got an email from last week, but do you have something before I start jumping in?
No, that's what I was trying to prompt for, but
great.
I didn't do it. I didn't do it very gracefully.
Yeah, we just ran all over each other. It's fine. David saves us and says, "Hi, guys. I was re-listening to a great episode last night, the one about treating everyone like a customer. Thanks for some great insights. One of the things that you mentioned was reaching out to people before you need something from them. You talked about sending an email to your lawyer or accountant or other suppliers. I might say go one step further on that and send them a handwritten note. That's something that they will remember even more. I personally have a stack of thank you cards that I try to regularly send to customers, suppliers, etc. Interestingly, a good friend of mine wrote a blog post on that very topic recently. We'll link to it. It's of course it's a big deal. It's time consuming, but you know, I like his idea that he keeps a stack of thank you cards that he sends regularly to his customers, suppliers. The idea would be, don't set yourself up for failure by saying, I have to do all of my customers in one sitting. Just pick 5. Do 5 in a sitting. Send 5 cards, 3 cards if it takes you, whatever the timing is. Send 1. That's success, right? Define success as, I sent out 1 card this week. Great. Well, if you do that 52 times, a year, well, you've sent out 52 cards.
Yeah,
that's
I totally
52
agree.
more than I sent out last year.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It is a great idea, and it's content, right? We're all creating content, and you have this concept that I want to expand on, where you say every business is in the customer service business, right?
Yes.
And I think
I still stand by that, by the way,
and I agree with it. I agree.
Okay.
And I would also like to add to that is that every business is now in the content business.
Totally.
Right.
Now, I'm not going to argue that at all. Nope.
Yeah.
I know I can make the episode more interesting.
What the heck,
yeah. All right. You're totally wrong.
Yeah. Okay, good. Here
Shannon,
we go.
you ignorant. Like, wait, what?
Yeah. So, the thing that I see more and more is that, like, when I work with my clients and we wind up talking about content all the time as it relates to them. And so, of course, the obvious, it attracts clients, right? Using social media or wherever you're going to put it, your own website, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But also it attracts talent, people that want to work for you, right? Because you're getting out there and they're seeing the way you do things, whether you're sharing time lapse of your operation. It could be anything. There's a great example of a guy on X right now he left the corporate world and is building a stump grinding business.
Okay.
And he got some good advice. He said, hey, before you grind a stump, put your camera out, your phone or whatever, and put it on time lapse, and be sure you save every single video. And now I see, he's growing at leaps and bounds up on X, up on Instagram, because people love to watch those videos, right? And it brings in a whole nother level when people are on Facebook and they stop and it's like, who's this guy? Oh, I've got 5 stumps and I've got, and he tells a story about like attracting a homeowners association that way. And they had like, some massive project because they had like 50 plus stumps out there that he had to, he's got somebody work for him now, went out and grinding. And I find myself watching the videos too. Oh, this is so cool.
Yeah, see, this is, I agree. I that every business is in the content business. Now, there's some decisions to be made.
Yes.
The first maxim that I will add to this, though, is that consistency is the key. Consistency matters more than quality. Consistency matters more than even being on the right platform, although that matters too. Yep. But just getting it out there and giving people something to see. The consistency is important for the humans involved, for sure, but consistency also tells the platform, aka the algorithm, that you are serious about producing content and that it's okay. It's lower risk for the algorithm to highlight you. Because if you're putting one thing out there, it might be the best thing ever, but and even if, and the platforms look at all this stuff, and each one has its own thing. It's slightly different, but it's essentially you posted it. How quickly were people How quickly were the people who watched it engaging with it, and how were they engaging? Right. That's the important part, because if they see, even if you have 10 followers and all 10 of your followers engaged with this thing and commented on it and shared it with their friends and all that stuff, the platform's going to be like, awesome, I'm going to expose this to 100 people. Let's see, what percentage of those are we going to get? And then it learns and does it from there. But it's not going to do it if it's your first video. No matter how, if you have all 10 of your people, it's not going to do anything, right? Because it doesn't know whether you're ever going to produce another one again. So why would it pay attention? And I'm talking about that in the platforms pay in attention, right? Their whole thing is, and they don't want to get people excited about you if you're not going to deliver again. That's bad for the platform. It's also bad for you.
Yeah.
But, so consistency is the thing, and you're going to go post a bunch of stuff and nothing's going to hit, but they're all building up to something because the platform will finally then take that thing that you happen to post that's really good after you've posted 100 videos or 100 whatevers. Platform's going to take that thing that's like, oh, wait, all of that person's followers just engaged with this and they have 99 other videos. All right, let's go. Let's give them a test. And
I like that comment of there's less risk for the algorithm to expose your stuff, because you have to teach the algorithm who you are. What kind of content you produce. Is it positive? Is it, negative content may get
maybe that's what the platform wants. I mean, X was famous for that for a very long time, and arguably still is in some circles.
Some ways. And also the comment about where you're going to share that content. You can't stress it enough, is you got to know where your customer is. Well, and they're not the same across all platforms.
I would say you need to pick one platform initially. And
it depends on what you're trying to do. But if let's say you're in the service business, my favorite HVAC company or whatever.
Okay.
Well, there's different, depending upon the platform. Now, if you're the owner and you're trying to build your personal brand, I would make a certain recommendation to you. But if you're the business and you're like, okay, we want to attract clients to buy our services, well, that's another platform.
That's potentially, yes.
Potentially.
Yes.
And if you're trying to attract a young male demographic, well, that's typically one type of platform, and a young female that's a different one. And you can break all these platforms down into. But
I think you can also get into analysis paralysis with that.
Yes.
I
have a solution to you that you
need to pick one, and you're going to be wrong about something, and it's okay. Go do your 100 videos there or 100 posts and just generate a presence and engage with people, reply to their comments, all of that stuff. Like if you have the staff who can genuinely do that on 4 different platforms simultaneously, well then sure, fine. But it has to be genuine.
On that. Yeah, it does have to be genuine. Yeah. Yeah.
So, share your tips. I'm curious.
Well, when you first get on a platform, you're going to be very excited.
Okay.
You're going to be like, wow, I had 100 followers and look at this. I got 10 today or something like that. You're going to be like, you're highly motivated. So you're creating all this content. You need to create, the first thing you create is a new folder, either on your local machine, in your Google Drive, Microsoft, whatever. And this is what you call it, content library. And every single thing you do, you save to your content library. And I guarantee you will thank me months and years down the road, because as you gain followers that are interested in your content, well, when you posted the video and you had 100 followers, well, now that you've got 500, well, theoretically, there's a ton of people that have not seen that content.
Even though it's in your back catalog, they just haven't gone and found it.
It's like social media is like a parade. You're just continually moving, and there's a new group of people that are out in front of you every time. So you see at the parade, they keep waving and doing the same thing over and over again. It's exactly the same way. And the other part of it is that when you're all excited and, okay, it's going to be great, you're creating stuff, eventually you're going to get a little bored.
And then you can go and play some of the greatest hits again.
Of course.
Oh, that's brilliant, man. I like that. Okay.
Yeah.
We have more to talk about on this subject for sure. The next thing that I want to do is tell you about our sponsors for this week. Because, well, when we're building our businesses, our to-do lists are long enough without accidentally leaking data to the entire internet being on there, right? And that's where our sponsor NordLayer comes in. This is a toggle-ready network security platform that protects your business without turning our IT setups into like Rubik's Cubes from hell, right? Whether you're a solopreneur scaling a team or an IT pro running remote everything, NordLayer gives us that VPN protection, access control, and threat monitoring in one sleek, ridiculously easy-to-use platform. You can set it up in minutes. There's no hardware, no wizard robes required or anything. And it all runs on zero trust principles. It works across every major OS, and it helps you stay compliant and secure as you grow. And the best part, you get to control who accesses what, from where, and on which devices. It's like bouncer level security, right? But for your internal data instead of your, Friday night outing, whatever it is, So if you want to keep your team secure and keep living that charmed life without a cybersecurity meltdown, go to nordlayer.com/brain and then use code BRAIN to get up to 22% off plus an extra 10% off of yearly plans. And here's a great part. You can try it risk-free, 14-day money-back guarantee. So go check it out, and our thanks to NordLayer for sponsoring this episode. And now let's talk about starting a business, because you've got the big idea, the caffeine-free ambition, respect, and the dream of waking up to passive income. But then reality hits. You need a storefront, payment system, inventory tracking, emails, marketing, support, shipping. Basically, you need Shopify. I use Shopify to sell merch for one of my other podcasts and merch for one of my other website businesses. And it's super smooth. I like, it makes me wonder if it's secretly run by a team of caffeinated owls in a server farm somewhere, quietly shipping your orders while you sleep. It's really, truly. Shopify powers 10% of all e-commerce in the US, from giants like Mattel to folks like me or anybody just getting started. You get gorgeous plug and play templates, AI that writes your product descriptions, and marketing tools that make it feel like you hired a team of pros without hiring anyone. And let's not forget the purple Shop Pay button, right? That beautiful little thing your customers already know and trust. It's one of the reasons Shopify has the best converting checkout on the planet. Turn your big business idea into ka-ching with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/businessbrain. Go to shopify.com/businessbrain, shopify.com/businessbrain. And our thanks to Shopify for sponsoring this episode. It's time for FridAI, Shannon.
Yes, sir. And I think I'd love to tie it into this content idea because
Let's go.
There's so many great applications, websites, what have you, that can help you with it. And one of my favorite ones, I've talked about it before. It's Opus.pro, Opus.pro.
Okay.
And it can create all kinds of content from any type of video that you have, any type of YouTube, or you record it. It's the sky's the limit. It's really easy to use. I use it all the time, and you can take, like I said, you just record a long video. It'll just pull things out for you. You can give it some guidance. Everyone should be using this thing that does any video content, and you should be doing video content on your website, in your social media, wherever it goes. This app is terrific.
Huh. All right. Yeah, I've heard of. I've heard of Opus Clip before.
Amazing.
Yeah. It's quite popular. People definitely
it's used all over. It does all
the
captions for you. There's a bunch of AI stuff that it tied into it, and you'll use it all the time. The other one that I love is Loom. Everybody, I don't know how I'd live without Loom.
Same.
It is just such a game changer to have a.
Not so much AI with Loom, though.
Well,
but
is.
Super valuable.
Super valuable, but it also, they do have, the key what you're doing here when we're talking about content is you're going to capture every little bit that you make. So if you have to do like an FAQ or, frequently asked questions or SOPs for your business, do them in Loom. It'll create the transcript, and the Loom AI pulls out sections of that transcript that you can use for other things. And so the concept I'm trying to get across is that, and I want to come back to your comment you made before the sponsor spot about mastering one platform first. Okay, but
sure.
So let me just back up a little bit. Loom, builds out everything. It creates a great library for you to use for all different stuff. Now, if you're trying to build your brand on a platform, I definitely agree that you should focus on one first and really master it. But as a business owner, if you're trying to attract people from all different different platforms, there's a ton of automation that you can do and push this stuff out automatically to those different platforms, just like we do, right? I have used that, and I've watched it fail most of the time. And I've watched it fail. I can often tell when I see a brand that's taking stuff and repurposing it, from one platform to other platforms, because it doesn't feel authentic on the satellite platforms, because it feels out of place, right? Out of context,
and often there's no engagement, right? So it's just I can see it's being barfed out, and somebody might comment and there's no response, or there's nothing, and it's not so much of the success on a platform is your engagement on that platform, or your company's engagement.
Yep.
And the algorithms know this too. And so I watch this content that's just put out there. And again, we did it at Mac Observer. We used Buffer, I guess was probably the one back then, right? That, was allowing us to take one thing and just barf it out everywhere, which initially, when social media started, that was 100% the right thing to do. Yeah. And then I watched it just fall off a cliff, and it was like, oh, the places where we are actually like paying attention to the account and doing all that. Now, we could have done that everywhere and probably would have done great, but we didn't have the manpower or the focus to do that.
Good advice.
So that's where you can where I get concerned is if you start barfing it out everywhere, you're teaching the algorithm that on this platform I don't care.
Yeah. And if you don't have the people to engage with your followers or whoever sees that, don't do it.
Yes.
Because if you just post and you don't follow up and you don't add context and you don't answer questions, you're going to have a bad time. It's just not good. Like you say, it's not going to work.
And you're training the algorithm that you're not paying attention to its platform. And then when you do finally come in and do that, I don't know this, but it would seem to me that you'd have more to prove for it to move the needle. Actually, I have seen that where it's like, oh, now that you're doing the right thing. Well, still, like Reddit was a great example of doing it wrong and basically being blacklisted.
Yeah, easily.
Yeah. Well, it's just like, well, you're not involved here, and it's like, well, I am now. It's like, yeah, but you have 4,000 posts where you weren't involved, and so now you have to post 6,000 where you are in order to offset those 4,000. It's like, okay, well, this is it. Then we're done. We're never going to work here. Like we're out. That's it.
It's a really good context to add to being on multiple platforms. You got to have the people to manage the engagement. Right?
Yes,
you really do. And even though it's not an AI thing, your phone probably has it built in. Get to know time lapse videos. Get to understand how they work. Get a great tripod for your phone if you're going to be using your phone to stuff. I have a client that I'm working with that's going to getting their first shipment of stuff. They're learning how to become a reseller. And I say, great. When's the shipping show? Okay, great. On Thursday. All right. Order your tripod now. Get your camera ready. And he's like, what? And I said, no, we're going to create this content. Don't worry about it. He's like, well, what are we going to do with it? I'm like, don't worry about it yet.
I have one tweak to this advice though.
Great.
Do your first video. Don't worry about the equipment you don't have.
Just
do it. Because once you see it, then you'll be like, wait, this would be better if I had a tripod. And then you'll want to buy this tripod, right? Yeah. But otherwise, you're like, I don't want to buy a tripod. And that's now your excuse to never start doing videos.
Everybody, I always say, beware the onces, right? Once I have this, I'll have that.
Once I have that.
Yes. Yeah. So in this case, we had time. I'm like, great, you got a week. Get yourself a cheap tripod so you can set it up because I want you in the video as you're unloading this truck.
But you can always teeter it on a chair somewhere.
Yeah,
like it's not going to look good.
Correct.
But it's something. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Even if you have a tripod, your first video is not going to look good.
Sometimes the videos that don't look the best perform better because it shouldn't be
authentic,
super polished and super. It's just, it's you, right? You're there, but put it in your content folder. Just don't be worried about when you're going to send it out. You've got this, you can build your schedule and all that stuff later.
Yeah.
And you want to just gather it up to have it because you can't go back and capture my first shipment.
Right.
You can't go back and capture that enthusiasm when you created your first long form post.
Yep.
Don't create the post on the platform. Create it in Word, or Google Docs or whatever you use so you have it. Because you'll go back and go, wow, like I said, I've got 1,000 followers now. Nobody's heard this. And you'll read it and go, wow, that was terrible. I should fix it.
Yes, I should fix it. You can.
You can. And use it over and over again.
So smart.
But everybody's in the content business. It is super powerful on so many different levels. If you have tools that you use, feedback@businessbrain.show. We'd love to hear from you.
Absolutely. Like he said, easy for him to say, feedback@businessbrain.show. Thanks for hanging out with us, folks. Make sure to leave us a review at businessbrain.show/review and keep living that charmed life. We will see you next week.
See ya.
All right.
All right. So that was 5:49.
Yep. Only one to go.
Yeah. If you're on the live stream, we're doing a marathon series today because I'm leaving, and so we're recording earlier. Dave is going to do some work here in between the episodes to get that one ready, and then we're going to record Our next episode, which will come out on the 23rd.
Yes.
It's another FridAI episode. I don't have a...
I was blown away by something that I will absolutely share on Saturday morning. That
Good.
you'll know about the process because it's something you're involved with. But
nice.
You did not. There is one complaint I have about this.
Okay. Good.
Wait, what episode was that? That was 649, right?
Yes.
That we just did?
That was 649. Yes.
Thanks. 649. Incomplete. Wait, what did I just do? Oh, I didn't do anything. That's why we fail to our systems.
That's it, see?
Brilliant. Business Brain 649. Okay, choose file. Desktop. Okay, there we go. 516, that's all right. Yep, the file's there. I see it uploading. Okay. 649. All right.
Okay, I'm getting ready. We're going to talk about this. I want to talk about something I talked about before, but it's worth sharing again.
Okay.
And I used it in a different way, so. Oh, I don't want to do that. There we go. Rump.
Come on. It's like watching grass grow, watching us work here and get everything ready for the show, isn't it?
It's exciting.
Fun stuff. Oh, yeah. This is as good as it gets, folks.
Yes.
All right. That one is ready, I believe. The next one we're doing is 651.
Right.
Okay. I'm putting that there.
All right.
Okay. Last month. Great. And there we are, 651.
Awesome.
I'm ready to rock. Okay. Are you... Oh, I should make sure I have the review that I'm going to mention at the beginning of the episode.
I'm going to give you a link. Copy link. I'm going to... Before we go, make sure you can access this. I'm putting it into...
I see it.
See if you can... Okay.
I'm pulling it up here.
Put it on the screen.
Yeah, for sure.
I can...
slowly but slowly. Yeah, okay, is it that?
That's it.
Great. Okay, sweet. Then here goes nothing. Business Brain, episode 651 for Casual Friday, May 23rd, National Road Trip Day 2025. Greetings, folks, and welcome to Business Brain, or welcome back to Business Brain if it's not your first time here. The show where we take some ideas, we crunch them, we dissect them, we use them to tune our business brains and keep on living those charmed lives. Our sponsors for this episode include Shopify.com/businessbrain, where you can sign up for a $1 per month trial period, and NordLayer.com/brain, where you get 22% off of NordLayer, which is a network security for modern businesses. It's a whole suite of things, and Code Brain actually gets you an extra 10% off. We'll talk more about both of those in a little bit. For now, here in Durham, New Hampshire, I'm Dave Hamilton.
And in Lafayette, California, I'm Shannon Jean.
Here we are. Casual Friday. We got a review, Shannon.
Nice.
Von Compton from the United States sent in a review at businessbrain.show/review, and 5 stars. I like it. These dudes are obviously smart and super willing to share all their ideas about business and all kinds of other stuff. Thank you for that, Von Compton. I appreciate it. And make sure we know who you are so that we can add you to our giveaway that we are doing this year for a MacBook. So leave a review. We'll read it on the show. We're reading 100% of the reviews that come in on the show. So you'll definitely be read on the show if you leave a review, and then you're in the drawing.
Like they say in the movies, the odds are ever in your favor because this is it'll be a small batch of people that will leave us reviews, and we're going to choose that new MacBook from that. So businessbrain.show/reviews.
It's true.
Hey, I want to. So it's FridAI.
Yes.
One of our most popular segments. Everybody's talking about it. I hear when anybody mentions the show, they're like, "I love that FridAI," and
it wouldn't surprise me if 6 months from now the show is FridAI. Let us know what you think about that. Feedback at businessbrain.show. Do you like the rest of the stuff, or is it FridAI?
Yeah.
So,
And a topic that I've been working on or discussing with people lately is this concept of everybody has a sales funnel idea, right? Oh, we got to get these people in the sales funnel and get them in and get them into there. And I think it's great. But I have that same, I use the same exercises, but I think that before, or maybe at the same time in parallel, you're thinking about your sales funnel, you should be thinking about your credibility funnel.
Oh.
And I would argue, man, that there's nothing AI and the tools that are at your fingertips now allow you to at least have the appearance, your actions are what truly create your credibility. But the tools that you can use is, look at that. We did
credibility
did we do a show
funnel.
on that?
There is a post on from 4 years ago, July of 2021, about the credibility funnel. I was like, I know we've done this before.
I'm so glad you found that.
Yeah,
I'm going to go find that too and repurpose the content like we talked about.
There you go. I'll link to it in the show. In fact, it's already linked in the show notes. Yeah, it's from Business Brain 259 is when we talked about that. Yep.
That is great.
Yep.
And so it's, there's just so many ways that you can make yourself look better, more professional, things that I have spent my life hiring people to do for me or just trying to put it together myself. And now those people that I would normally hire, I can get to a higher level of things, other opportunities. And so if it's okay with you, Dave, I wanted to share this. I've talked about napkin.ai before.
Yep.
But I talked about it in the context of numbers and data.
Okay.
And I wanted to show an example of how to use it for just even simple concept like this credibility funnel. I called it, I could even change this. That's not really funnel.
Well, I will ask you, we will share it on the video stream, of course, but you need to describe it because it needs to work with people who have their eyes closed.
I always forget. That's true.
Because most of our audience is not going to watch this.
Yeah. So I'll put a PDF up in there or some snapshots of it up in the post so you can look at it as well at businessbrain.show. But what Napkin does is it takes data, words, whatever, and helps create visualizations of them, which is something I've tried to do my whole life, and I love it. And in this case, here's an example of this. I was talking about credibility funnels, and I call this re-commerce support system. The context doesn't matter. I just want to use your example. And what makes this system, or what makes up this system, is your story, why you're doing these things, your credibility, what your unfair advantages that we talked about, what tools and resources you use, how you present it, and how your customer service is. So in Napkin, you can go click in to create these visualizations for anything, just a paragraph, a sentence. And when you click this little lightning bolt, the AI sits there and thinks about it and says, okay, what do you want it to look like? Do you want this circular thing?
Oh, interesting.
Do you want a triangle? Looks like it's not going to reload on your
screen,
but
what Shannon had created, or what Napkin had created with Shannon's ideas, was this. It looked like an interesting Venn diagram scenario where you have a circle in the middle of your business success, and then you have all of the things he just mentioned: your customer service, your unfair advantage, your credibility, all on the outside of this, contributing to that. But it's one of those things that we can talk about it here, and we did, and we have, and we will again. But it sometimes really helps to see it out in front of you.
Oh, absolutely.
And really, and then you can mess with it and rearrange it if you like, and all that stuff. So I like it.
It's great, and it allowed me to further down. There's just each of these things. It broke out like why you're doing it. Is it just the money, or what are your goals? All these kind of aspirations, and so it brought this. And I use these in my newsletter, and it just brought the visualization of each of these concepts that I wanted to share with my subscribers into a unique. The tools, it breaks down to visual. It has like bolts and, hey, what do you need to succeed? And it labeled each thing. And it's very versatile, and it's not just for numbers. And the last time I talked about it, I was just using it to break out numbers and create charts and all this kind of stuff. But it's super useful. Napkin.ai. I just use the free version, which just has their brand on it. They do have some other premium services, but it just, anything you put together, if you're looking to have a visual representation of it, you can go here, and I think it adds to your credibility tremendously.
I love that. That's great. Yeah, it's worth it. We will put this out as its own little video, and feel free to please, in fact, go check it out. It'll be on YouTube. So you can just see the examples of what Shannon built with napkin.ai, and you'll immediately understand how it can take these very heady ideas that you were talking about. It wasn't numbers, right? These are just
not at all.
Things and concepts and relating them all together in a visual way to make it easier to cement that in our brain. So yeah, please go check that out. We have some FridAI stuff to talk about that I am excited to do. The next thing that I want to do is tell you about our sponsor. Because, all right, look, running our own businesses, it's awesome, right? And it's also like juggling flaming batons while being chased by, I don't know, a pack of like caffeinated squirrels, right? We've all been there. When I launched my first business, it felt like I had to be the CEO, the CMO, CTO, and the janitor and everything else all at once. Well, that's where our sponsor, Shopify, steps in. Shopify is the built-in business partner you didn't know you needed. It powers millions of businesses worldwide, including the ones that I run for, like we used Shopify for the merch for one of my other shows and one of my other websites, in fact. And it makes setting up a beautiful store online ridiculously easy. No coding, no chaos. They give you pro-grade tools to manage your store, to run your marketing, to process your payments, to handle your shipping, all like a boss, right? And they've got AI tools. They are all in on AI. They write product descriptions, improve my images, and even help launch campaigns. Basically, Shopify shows up to work harder than half of the humans out there, right? It's great. If you're serious about building a brand and living that charmed entrepreneurial life, you're going to want Shopify in your corner. Turn your big business idea into ka-ching with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/businessbrain. Go to shopify.com/businessbrain. Again, shopify.com/businessbrain. And our thanks to Shopify for sponsoring this episode. All right, now let's talk cybersecurity. Most of the time, it feels like either A, it's too complicated, or B, it's slowing down your team. That's why I love NordLayer, our sponsor. It gives you enterprise-grade security, but it's built for the pace we actually work at. Whether you're onboarding a new hire from their laptop in Lisbon, or you're trying to prevent phishing attacks before your first coffee-free sip of mint tea, yeah, that's my vibe these days, NordLayer lets you deploy secure access fast. It's VPN, threat detection, and device management all in one with zero hardware and actually easy setup. And it's also based on zero trust, so you can control who can access what, when, and from where, because your growing team doesn't need to keep unlimited keys to the vault, right? Entrepreneurs don't have time to mess with outdated firewalls or security spaghetti. NordLayer gives you clarity, control, and speed, the perfect combination for your charmed life in business. And here's a great part. You get up to 22% off plus an extra 10% with code BRAIN at nordlayer.com/brain. So nordlayer.com/brain gets you 22% off. Use code BRAIN for an extra 10% off. That's where fast, secure, and sane actually coexist. And our thanks to NordLayer for sponsoring this episode. All right, Shannon, it's time for FridAI here, and I was blown away. So I like anytime we mention a product or service on this podcast or any of the other podcasts that I do, I like to make sure they are aware that we mention them. And unlike on the web, like when we published at Mac Observer or whatever, people would just find, if we put out an article about somebody, they would often find it because they had like Google searches that were automated and all that stuff. That still doesn't happen with podcasts as easily as it could. So I go out of my way and I do this. Now, I get behind on this because it's a task that no one else is waiting for me to do. So it's something that I can defer because it's me. And that happens sometimes. And so Saturday morning, I was like, I have a bunch of business brains, from probably the last 5 weeks to send out. I got to do this because otherwise I get too stale and then it's not the best. So I sent out a bunch of these things. I have a FileMaker database that I use to manage all of that, and it sends out all the things. But it's semi-automated, right? I have a whole thing that does it. And I went through and I did all this. And then when I'm finished sending out, especially for that long, the very first thing I do is I go to my inbox and find while I still have the FileMaker database open, I go and look and make sure that, I'm going to invariably have people in the database who have moved on, and I'm going to get autoresponders or mail bounces or whatever. And so I'm going through and processing those. And one of the companies that we mentioned last month was Gumroad. You mentioned it on the show. Yep.
Love them. Yep.
And right. So I told them, I sent a thing in to them about that. Yep. And I had a response from Gumroad on Saturday morning. And I read it. Now, it said, thanks for letting us know about the mention on your Business Brain podcast and for sharing the details. We appreciate the shout out and your interest in connecting. If you're interested in collaborating or learning more about how creators can work with Gumroad, you might want to check out our affiliates feature here. And they gave me a link. Let us know if you have any Gumroad specific questions. And then in gray text, it said, this response was created by our AI support agent. If you need human support,
I love that.
Let us know in your reply. And they used Helper AI or Helper as their AI support agent, and that was also listed there. So I'll link to all of this in the show notes. So I replied, and I said, "This is amazing. I love it. It's a personalized, customized response that is subject matter appropriate.
Yeah.
It was great." And so it was an autoresponder, but it was
intelligent,
tailored. Yes, right. Yeah. And so I thought I wrote back and I said, this is great. We're going to feature this in an upcoming episode of Business Brain because we have a FridAI segment and obviously. And I sent that off and I got a reply. That's awesome to hear, Dave. Thanks for sharing the love.
I love it.
We're excited to be a part of your FridAI segment. If you ever want to dive deeper into Gumroad or have questions for your audience, just let me know. Enjoy recording.
That's sweet.
Yeah, man. And that also was marked as being created by their AI support agent. Yeah. Yeah.
That's great.
So Helper AI is the engine that they use. And it is world-class support, can be effortless, powering support for millions on Gumroad. All right, they're already there. Better than human responses. Yep.
Wow, that's very cool.
Start using Helper. It's not clear how much it costs. So I'm not going to.
Right here, it's per usage. So it's 20 cents per solution. So they're support tickets.
Got it.
So you just cost Gumroad 40 cents.
Well, was it considered resolved, though?
Yeah,
like I replied to the same ticket. So
it's a good question.
My guess is I cost him 20 cents.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty
wow.
I like that. I mean, the future is bright, man. I mean, the level of service that small businesses, entrepreneurs, creators are going to be are offering now and will continue to offer is unbelievable. Unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. Yeah.
And unattainable up until recently. the last
yeah,
year.
undoable.
Unattainable.
Yes.
I mean, we had some...
Impossible, perhaps.
Impossible, yes. And being able to build quickly and add in support features to your products and your services, I mean, you just can't put too much, emphasis on how important it is. It's crucial.
Yep.
And I love it. And I feel so fortunate to be in the middle of it as we build out things that I've wanted to achieve forever.
Yep.
That I'm able to do with the click of a button now. Like, oh yeah, I can do that. Blink. And it's just phenomenal.
Hey, speaking of AI successes, Shannon.
Yes.
I got my check from the IRS.
Oh, that's awesome. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Right. So I talked about this probably a month ago now on the show, by the time this episode comes out. But I had mailed the check to my bank, and evidently it was to the wrong address, even though it was listed on their website as the correct address. And it was a check from the IRS for $37,000. I explained it in the episode, but it was not a typical classic refund.
Right.
So I couldn't use their automated systems. ChatGPT helped guide me through calling the right department for the IRS. And I walked through it with someone, and this was all happening the week of April 14th.
Wow.
Right. When the IRS was completely overloaded. Yeah. And ChatGPT got me right through by telling me what to do, gave me a script, was coaching me the whole way. And 2 weeks, I know it's a month now by the time you're all hearing about this, but 2 weeks later, I received my replacement check. And it's all good to go. And I mailed it in differently this time, as you might imagine, Shannon. I've learned my lesson.
Yes. The key, I think the takeaway for me is that you need to be thinking of these AI services as your assistants, and you're a coach in some ways, but more like an assistant. And if you don't have it on your phone, where you can then and if you haven't ever done the voice interaction with it, where you can have a discussion with it, you owe it to yourself to talk about just weird problems you may have or questions you may have. And
pick some topic. It doesn't have to be important.
Well, I gave the example of solving this irrigation problem in my yard.
Yeah.
That it was so random, it would have taken me forever to figure it out. And
I had it teach me how car dealerships' profit structure works.
Yeah. It's just anything that you can imagine. And having the dialogue back and forth, it's just natural. And it saves all that data once again. So you're creating this massive content library for yourself.
At least for yourself, perhaps for others too.
Yeah.
Well, be careful sharing data. It's one thing. It's easy for us as entrepreneurs, and if we're the business owner, to just make the executive decision that I'm okay sharing data about my business with this engine, that it's going to store it there. And there might, like, they have a fairly good privacy policy, but there's always a risk, right? So you are taking that risk eyes wide open. That's fine. Where we all need to be aware is when we are doing this or about to do this with someone else's data, a client's data, an employee's data.
Yes.
You got to make sure you're still honoring all the confidentiality that you're supposed to honor. But there's a good argument to be made that it's fine, good to go.
Yeah.
So
it's cool. Super helpful.
It's great.
Awesome.
I probably have shared more with it than would be wise.
Yeah.
But it helps me immensely. It's
same.
So,
it's incredible.
It's incredible. Yeah.
Yep. We'd love to hear what you have going on in the AI space. Send us a new service or just a different way you're using one of the popular ones. Feedback at businessbrain.show. Let us know.
Yep. Like he said, feedback at businessbrain.show, and keep living that charmed life, will you? We'll see you next week. Later.